Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. AEL action on this Thursday night. If you're celebrating Halloween, happy Halloween. Be safe out there. Be nice to trick-or-treaters. Don't give them apples or grapes wrapped up in Ferrero Rocher packets or anything like that. Be nice to the trick-or-treaters. I think you're never too old for Halloween. What do you think, Turk?
No, you're never too old. I did say before backstage though that I was too old for Halloween. So now that I'm in front of the camera, I'm gonna go completely against that. And
I put you on the spot.
Yeah, you can never be too old for it. You are dressed up though. I'll give it to you. Now everybody should know he didn't tell me that he was getting dressed up. He didn't tell me. So now I'm just a washed up League player. That's my costume for tonight, and he's a panda, and I'll give it to him. He's a good looking panda. He's doing all right, so I'll give it to him there. Yeah. I think we're already in the draft. Like, these guys aren't wasting time. We're wasting time, but they're not. So
no.
Already, first pick Corki coming right through. That champ's rose a ton in priority 4Y. Like over the past week, 2 weeks that it's been out, ever since that rework came through, that champion's just been skyrocketing. You see Hail of Blades, you see Conqueror, you see so many different builds coming through. So not too surprised to see Faceless pick that up B1.
And Faceless, they are facing off against DZG Arcadia. Faceless at 2-1. In the league this year so far. DZG at 1-2, so both at similar records are trying to keep their head above that dotted line, right? Top 4 in each division. This is Hextech action. Wait, Hextech or Chemtech? Hold up.
Oh, Hextech.
Chemtech. My bad.
Damn,
call me, brother. But either way, the top 4 line, right? Both these teams inhabiting right now 4th and 5th place respectively. Faceless just a hair above DZG, and Faceless having to lose a couple bans because of an emergency sub, a little late in the party, so they're rocking with an emergency sub as far as this one is concerned. But just taking away that Ezreal, Turkey talked about how maybe it might actually mess up your draft plans and the option to wait away a ban as the Nocturne comes through here. I hadn't even considered that.
We did talk a little bit about that. Yeah, sometimes teams will actually elect to just waive the bans entirely. So in this case, right, Faceless did lose those 2 bans. But yeah, sometimes you just say, nope, keep the bans, because as DZG, you might prep up for something here. You anticipate a couple bans coming through. But in this case now, more champions are left open. So it's kind of the mind games that you see coming through. But Jhin and Nocturne being picked from DZG on red side. Nocturne, not too surprising at all. You've seen that champion rise a lot in priority, obviously, in Worlds. If anybody's watching that, we got a banger finals coming up. So that'll be exciting. But Nocturne, yeah, he hasn't skipped a beat by any means, and we're going to see the Zen, that early game prio coming through with that jungler, and then the Aatrox, a really safe blind pick from Faceless.
Yeah, talk about some power picks in that mid. I mean, really strong picks kind of across the board here for Faceless so far. Jhin, very powerful. See what kind of he gets paired up with. So you go kind of that kill lane route, go Leona, go Nautilus, just really help apply that CC with that Deadly Flourish, etc. But the Nocturne, you'd like to think is going to be an Orianna angle here. I mean, it is just kind of a tried and true combo, but instead it'll be the Lissandra.
Yeah, it's going to be Lissandra. That's interesting. Now, I wonder if they think that the Corki's going mid. I'm not entirely sure, because usually it's like Lissandra is a great champion, but she really needs Lissandra's more of like a counter pick style champion, right? You don't want to get outranged. If you end up just picking control mage that could outrage Lissandra, things can get a little tricky. But in this instance, they're feeling comfortable on it, so they're willing to pick that. And that's pretty heavy dive so far coming in from Arcadia. Those phase 1, and even the Jhin too. Obviously, the Jhin himself isn't going to be going to the backline, but of course, with that curtain call, you open up all that extended range that you have. Things get scary real quick, real fast for Faceless.
Yeah, it could be a ton of damage, especially if that Jhin gets rolling early. And so far, Faceless haven't really drafted a composition with a ton of true tanks, right? I mean, even if you draft something like a Leona or a Nautilus in the support role, your Jin's probably going to do okay with that, right? And that's what classically Jhin struggles into, is being that armor shredder, right? And that consistent source of DPS. You've got to be able to play with your range, right? Sometimes you opt into that RFC, sacrifice a little bit of damage to keep yourself safe so you can right-click a little more safely. Malphite going to be taken away on the other side. Sylas and Senna taken away here from Faceless. Seraphine will be the last band to go to. I mean, Seraphine really would feel like kind of that cherry on top to really knit this dive comp together.
Yeah, really facilitate the rest of the team, especially that carry jungler that you've drafted for yourself, and yeah, having that Seraphine R to be able to layer on top of everybody else going in there, it's pretty spicy. So the R4, obviously, we can assume is probably going to be the support coming through, and they're going to save their counter for top. Most teams end up doing that, so it'd be interesting to see what we get. It's going to be that Galio, so that's a Galio and a Nocturne going in. Yeah, this is full on dive right now that you're seeing from DZG, and we'll see how Faceless adapts. Right, still have those last 2 picks. Of course, you still have your support pick and that Corki. Technically speaking, it's a flex. I thought it was going bot at the start. Could very well still be. So yeah, they've got some options here. Faceless does, but they see exactly what Arcadia wants to do. Exactly.
Yeah, like you said, all dive is DZG Arcadia. Do you worry at all about the damage? Do you think that Lissandra can do enough to kind of keep up here. I mean, like you said, you've got a kind of a carry jungler, but this feels a little boomer bust right now from DZG. Do you feel that way or not really?
No, it's a great question. Yeah, at this point I do. 100%. So in this instance right here, Faceless hasn't, like we talked about it before, they haven't actually drafted that much of a tanky front line. So in this instance, it's going to be the Aatrox, right? That's really your main tank. We'll see what they do on this B5 if they do want to grab some sort of a tanky jungler. It looks like it's tanky jungler, excuse me, tanky support, but instead it's actually just going to be the Nami. So yeah, looking at it right now, I think Arcadia, even though they don't have a ton of damage on their Lysandre and on their Jhin, they don't really need it too much. I think that the team comp of Faceless right here, when you look at it, like anybody gets picked off from a Nocturne or Galio or Lysandre ult or anything like that's probably going to die. So yeah, I think they end up dodging a bullet in that instance right there. And it looks like we are going to see that R5. It was a Rakan hover, but it looks like it's going to be that Rel. So yeah, full on index right into the dive. Oh, they're baiting us. They're baiting us. What is it going to be? There we go. Boom. Right. Rel. So full on dive, mister. How do you feel about that?
I mean, look, it's an identity, right? Like you said, pretty easy to play. You've got a lot of ways to apply. Like you said, that Deadly Flourish, you can lock people up in place with that Magnet Storm, right? And the Chain CC, like you said, makes the Jhin ult just so easy to land, right? I mean, that is such a high-powered, high-damage ultimate, but sometimes it is kind of easy to dodge. It is a little bit telegraphed. Again, you worry a little bit about the safety of the Jhin, but if I'm looking at champions that can kind of get into that backline, you know, and get onto the Jhin, it's tricky, right? Because I mean, for everything I criticize, kind of, you know, or not criticize, worried about DZG Arcadia being like, okay, do they have the damage? They've got bodies, right? And they've got kind of, you know, a couple off tanks, if nothing else, that they're going to build into here. But it does feel like to me, again, if this comp doesn't get rolling, they might be up the creek here. The scaling for Flawless is just a lot better.
It looks like that for sure on both of their carries, the Corki and the Hui, both being able to scale really hard. And yeah, I mean, especially with when you see like the jungler like Nocturne coming through, you know that a pre-6 gank can come through, but more than likely it's not. You can expect a couple full clears before that champion really does come online. So it might give Faceless enough time to actually be able to ramp up, but expect a lot of attention. My best guess is probably towards mid and bot. I think mid and bot are going to be the main focus here, and if they can get that Lysandre out of that lane, that you can see that Lysandre starting to roam and impact the rest of the map. So those side lanes are going to be really important. And of course, the main side lane for both of these teams is of course going to be that bot lane. So how well can the Jhin and the Rel execute? Are they able to gap close and actually find kills on the Nami, on the Corki? That's yet to be determined. But of course, when you look at it just from like a bird's eye view almost, you could just kind of look at DZG's comp. Like you said, they have an identity. They have a lot of cohesion. If they could pull trigger and actually like group up, sync their timings with their ultimates, then yeah, they can pull trigger and they can make magic happen very quickly. And then on the opposite side, of course, Faceless, they have a couple ways to disengage. You have that Xin Zhao ult. You can buy a lot of time, even though he's not a frontliner. Whenever you're dealing with range, in this instance, DZG doesn't have a ton of it, so it might be a little bit harder, but Xin can still create that space for the team. The Nami ult to be able to disengage. Wei in general, unless Wei's out of position, he could be in a little bit of trouble maybe, but Faceless has ways to play at range, so it really does come down to just the execution here in DZG's team comp. To me, I like it a lot. It's just, yeah, do they have enough damage to be able to get through the members of Faceless? And if so, like, what can they do after that? Like, we want to see neutral objectives being stacked from both teams here. Dragons are super important. Void Grubs are actually equally as important, I think, in this game right here, too, especially. Traditionally, you don't see that. It looks like it's... I mean, you can assume that at this point right now with that R5 Rel, like that's going to be a Galio top. Like that's my very best guess. I couldn't imagine Lysandre going anywhere else. So that's going to be a Galio versus Aatrox. I imagine Aatrox is going to have that advantage when it comes to Faceless there. So wouldn't be surprised if they could apply that and get a couple Void Grubs, or in this case, what is it, 5 now? I believe it's 5 now, 4Y, or is it 4? What's the threshold for the Void Grubs?
I think it's 4.
I think it's 4 as well. They've changed it so many times now, so I can't quite remember. But long story short, you end up netting those Void Grubs. And that's where a lot of magic can happen in those side lanes. And then when you do group up, that's where maybe something can really start to come together for Faceless. And yeah, we'll have to see. Like on the side lanes, if you get picked off, that's where you're going to run into a lot of trouble with that Nocturne Paranoia. So lots of thoughts, but it'll be interesting. We'll say that.
Yeah, and I think you really nailed it. We'll touch on it on the other side of a break as we kind of get into it. If these champions, right, if the Lysandre and the Galio can get out of lane, right, that's really the biggest thing here, because you're gonna have to find other ways to kind of accelerate your lead in your game, right? Because like you said, in a couple of these matchups, you don't really favor the laners of DZG, at least on the champion that they're piloting, if nothing else. For now, we're going to take it to a quick break. When we come back, we will have game 1 of this game between Flawless and DZG. But before that, a word from our sponsors. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you on the Rift.
See you soon.
Quick shout out to ProComps, our sponsor and a game changer app for the League community. This isn't just like the other tools. It's your personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and solo players. In fact, you can pair it with any other app you use. ProComps stands out with features like custom champion pools, personalized tier lists, and live draft advice. Think of it as having a virtual coach and a strategy toolkit all in one. They offer real-time champion ban recommendations. They already have over 200,000 downloads and thousands of daily users just like you. ProComps is user-friendly and totally free. It is a no-brainer to at least give it a go. Download ProComps now, and you'll experience a whole new level of drafting power in your League games. Go to procomps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or click the panel below on our stream.
do it.
Are we live?
All right. We're back. Whether we knew it or liked it or not, we are back. I'm 4x4. That is Turk. This is game 1 of hopefully 3, but it's a best of 3. Week number 4 of the Aegis Executioner League season. Thank you so much for being here. We hope you're going to have as much fun watching this one as we are going to have casting it. The only substitution, Turk, that we saw was Paka Paul coming in for Faceless on the Xin Zhao. His objective is simple. Get your laners ahead. Now, it is in fact the Lissandra top here, and both her and the Galio are running Electrocute, so they mean business here.
Yeah, they mean business, and it's not a quirky bot. It's actually a Hoei bot. So we were wrong on multiple fronts here. But I mean, that's what you like to see when you pick those champions. You have that flexibility. So that B1 quirky being used in this instance right here.
Do you like the matchups that they flexed into?
Yeah, actually, I think they're perfectly fine. When you take the Hui bot side, you can actually outrange the Jhin, which is fantastic. Yeah. Jhin tends to do really well into champions that he can outrange. Obviously, you have your Q for that bounce, you have your W, and then of course you have your R. So yeah, in this instance, I really like that. And then Corki into Galio, that should be a pretty free lane for the Corki to be able to scale up. So I imagine it's actually gonna be quite hard to proc the Electrocute. It almost seems like you have to all in as Andicus on this Galio here. So yeah, I really like the flex that they came through with.
And on the other side, yeah, like you said, going to be a lot of global pressure on this in this DZG comp. Yeah, we talked about kind of the the diviness of it. Going right in here with the crash down is Zayden. Dude able to trade back just a little bit. Root can't quite get in range for an auto. They're able to get one. Talk to me about this top lane matchup here.
Yeah, this is an interesting one right here. If I'm not mistaken, Aatrox should actually do quite well. Now, it might take about till level 3, so maybe after the 3rd or 4th wave by that point, you can see the Valkyrie coming in, the amount of damage that comes through there too. Whew, that rework Corki is pretty insane, but you can already see that the Aatrox has Prow, he has a push here, so he's already set that up, so he's going to be in a prime spot here. And if he gets this next wave here, times it for a 3-wave crash, by the time that it bounces back to him, he's going to be exactly where he needs to be. But as time goes on, yeah, Aatrox actually does really well into short-range champions. In this instance, Lissandra is still, even though she's ranged, still quite short range. So you can see the trade coming through with the Qs there, the second Q. He's going to take a lot of damage there on the return, especially with that Electrocute proc, but I think he's going to be in good shape moving forwards.
Do you think that the Electrocute choice kind of signifies anything as to how the Lissandra and the Galio are going to build going forward, or not necessarily? Is it just something for lane? Because I mean, with Lissandra, like we said, right, like it's not a hard carry, but you can just build her, Deathcap, Void Staff, Shadow Flame, Zanyas, right?
Yeah, normally with the Galio, what you'll see... Oh, look at the trade coming through.
My goodness.
That Electrocute, it's crazy. Normally what you see with the Galio, I mean, usually you pick it into more like magic, of course, but you'll see something like the Hallowed Radiance coming through first. So in this instance with the Electrocute, I couldn't anticipate that by any means. So yeah, probably more AP, more damage on both of the champions there. On Lissandra as well. And Lissandra, just generally speaking, builds more damage anyways. Yeah. Lots of damage coming through mid, though. Heavy trading. And look, Andicus is going to have to get his reset in here soon. And GoPami doing a pretty good job with that wave. It does crash though at the end of the day, so Aatrox should be pretty safe. And yeah, nothing too crazy right now. Only 3.5 minutes into this game 1 here. Both teams, I'm sure, are still quite getting ready to quite warm up here. We are actually going to see some level 3 shenanigans. The spell shield's going to come through, but he still actually gets pulled back. One of those neat little interactions, actually. Yeah,
I was going to say that's interesting. You pop the spell shield, but there's 2 effects going, so the spell shield's got to pick one to kind of focus on, I guess. And I guess one of them did go through.
It's almost like a tether, like a Karma tether. Like if you tether a Sever and then she spell shields to try to block the root, it doesn't work. So I assume it's coded somehow like that on the back end.
That makes sense.
That's my guess. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. But yeah, who really knows? But yeah, it is a neat little interaction there. So yeah, if you spell shield the W there from the Aatrox, the pull back, then of course in that instance you'll be able to slow chase, and maybe you'll find a flash if you're lucky there, but nothing too crazy, just a full clear coming in from both junglers right now. And Xin, like you talked about, I think you really want to highlight that again. Xin Zhao is a fantastic champion, but he's a bridge champion. He wants to get the rest of his team ahead, and he's going to have to find those windows to be able to do just that. So we'll see how well Paka Paul, the sub, can actually pull this off with, because yeah, this is a very high agency early game jungler.
Able to get a decent reset off here, a little bit ahead in terms of just raw damage with the pickaxe versus the 2 longswords. Actually, is that true?
I believe, yep. If I'm not mistaken,
got a little bit more, right? Because it's what, longswords 10 each. If the pickaxe is 25,
I think it's 5 extra damage. You're really putting us on the spot here.
I know, dude. I know. Like, as soon as I open my mouth, I'm like, why do I talk about stuff that I don't really know about? But anyway,
I wish I knew more about items. That's definitely not my strong suit. Inability names too. I'm not like I'm by no means like a you or a quick shot. Like quick shot was he was like the OG when it came to that. It was amazing that guy casting, knowing all the abilities and everything. So yeah, nowadays that's just a prerequisite for casters.
Yeah.
Most of them, good casters, anyways.
Yeah, no, I've got I at the peak of my powers, I was doing flashcards, the whole like the Quizlet and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but you definitely gotta like at one point I knew them kind of backwards and forwards. Nowadays, especially kind of in the off season, if I'm a little rusty, just gonna keep it a stack with the audience here on the other monitor. I've got the low analytics page up, and just like you can scroll over kind of quickly, like especially with something like Hui, right? Like,
well, I was gonna ask you, like that'd be a great quiz right there. Do you know all the Hui abilities? Like, there's no way you do.
I do not. Again, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I do not. But I know like I know Crushing Maw is like the crushing one, right? Fleeting Current gives you the zoomies. And then the Sprawling Despair is the ultimate. That is usually what the ones that are worth calling out.
Yeah, well, that's right. We're gonna see more damage.
Oh no! Aegis able to get the beautiful taunt off as Tilted Tower is gonna be feeling tilted. Absolutely, he flashed, but not in time to get out of range. Aegis held onto his flash as well. Actually, a solo bolo at the end of the day. Didn't even need his jungler.
Oh, and the extended trade is going to come through. The bubble follows up as well. The stun. We're going to see the ult coming from Galio.
Very nice hero's entrance there, able to bail out Zayden. Zayden sounds cooler. We're gonna go with Zayden.
Yeah, I like Zayden too. Yeah, Xylophone, Zayden. That makes sense somehow, some way. But at the end of the day, that sequence quite long. We are going to see FLS at the end of the day pick up this dragon, so that's good. You want to see both teams stack those neutrals, and of course FLS. If you could start to really get those dragons, that could be your win con. It's really strong for team fighting comps in general, so gives you those nice windows. But of course, we are going to see that first blood coming down through for Aegis on that Galio, and just a good play, honestly, from him. He does a really good job of tethering that range to be able to land that E. Once you land that E, the chain CC comes through with the taunt, and then you got to hand it to Zayden being at the right place at the right time. He follows up, burns his flash, and even though Tilted burns his, trying to get away, he still dies in the process. Oh.
Aegis kind of taking no prisoners here, going with the armor boots here.
Valkyrie.
Sound elements able to get in there. Valkyrie goes off, but again another. This time going for the all in here. Flash taunt the CC chain is just too much. As soon as he showed back up, sent right back to the gray screen.
And Nocturne, very similar to TF. We'll talk later.
Yeah, we might not be done here just yet. It's a level advantage is had here by D-Dude. He's got the Spiraling Despair. Should he want to use it, might just accept his fate here. Flash down, throws it out onto Route 16, but he's got his bullets back up. His auto attack, Crushing Maw will land. And now with level 6, able to get it just on that wave. Iron Force support's gonna have to tank up all these bullets. Should be able to get that fourth one. Gotta be careful here as Route 16 called his bluff. Zayden running some interference as the bubble does land here, but D-Dude not enough range, not enough health, not enough mana to finish the job.
Oh, back and forth. You think one team's gonna win, you think the other team's gonna win, but at the end of the day, nobody goes down. The wave just gets pushed in. They'll clear it out. They'll take their resets and they'll get right back at it. But before that, it was a really nice execution there coming in from Silent Elements on the Nocturne there. We were talking about it a little bit before, where he's very similar to TF, where you want your first global ultimate to have that big impact, and in this instance, you're going to get that. So Aegis, now he's two kills up on the board, so he's looking fantastic. He actually is going for that Bomby Cinder, builds the tabbies themselves as steel plates, I guess, for the newer players, but it's always tabbies to me. But
yep.
I think steel caps. Did I say steel caps? That's what I meant to say. But
yeah,
lots of armor coming through. That Galio should actually be getting quite tanky. It'll be interesting to see his build. Nice taunt coming through.
Yeah, maybe you just rip the Sunfire, but even then, I mean, you do still have to worry about the Hui, right? But I mean, again, the Hui, you're sort of drafting it for the range, right? You can kind of send that artillery out towards the Jhin. He's building straight lethality. Yeah, that's the move, like you said, like we talked about in draft. You're not really going into any true tanks here, right? On the other side, a lot of damage here actually by the minions being taken by regular guy, but able to get the W off, get Gopamine in the tether here. Not gonna be able to go for the all-in, or I mean, well, he could, but it wouldn't be wise.
Oh, he can always threaten. It is a bit of a longer lane with Lysandra being as extended as what she is, but Gopamine's doing a great job there, just constantly poking and prodding, bit by bit chunking regular guy in the Aatrox, and both of them are not really in the position to get killed at this point right now. The one thing to note is that we do actually see Aatrox having the ult, so if one Q lands, you might see the all-in coming through. It's just, if Gopamine has that claw, he has that flash, he should be pretty safe, so I don't anticipate anything too crazy happening here towards really any of these lanes, especially top though, but it really is going to be around these next neutrals here. You can see see Silent Elements. He's hovering around. He does have his ult, so maybe they do look to pull trigger here on Aatrox.
Yeah, going for the all-in here. Paranoia goes off defensively, and a fantastic frozen tomb from Gopamine at the perfect time. Unspeakable Horror goes out to get the fear down. Aqua Prison not going to land here from Iron Force support. Crash down, no Magnet Storm, no level 6 from Zayd, and allows some return fire here. Going for the all-in here as the tidal wave comes out. Hero's entrance going up, right back down. A couple more autos might do it. Going for the all-in, but will not get it. Tilted Tower is able to take down Andy because a much-needed kill for the Corki. Zayden gets the kill back. Gonna drift off into the safety of Silent Elements, pops the spell shield. They want to get something back, and a beautiful mount up will get Zayden out of trouble. And with the tip of his javelin, helps Silent Elements secure not one, but okay, will just be the one kill.
Holy. Wow, that's a one crucial kill. You said it. Tilted Towers. He needed that on the Corki. More damage coming through there. D-Dude's dead. He's got to be all reload.
Oh my goodness. I mean, the fact that you even have to open up the curtain call like that, it's a bit of a rough one. And it seems like from what we're seeing on the minimap, he just danced around all 4 shots.
He dodged everything. Cool guys don't look at explosions. Observers don't either. We don't need him. He would have dodged every single one of those curtain call shots. He was 1 HP. He was 1 HP. Wow, I'm surprised. He lived. Good for him. Yeah, very good for him. I mean, that's important too. Of course, at this point right now, you are going to lose 1 plate, but that's so much better than going down in that instance. You lose so much more in the process. So, fancy food keeps D-Dude alive for another day.
Wonder if he used the fleeting path to give himself that extra speed boost. You know,
I was drinking, man. You killed me. I just did a spit take. Oh God, I gotta wipe my screen.
Dude, God bless you. I saw you buzzing the Mech Cafe. I mean, you're 3 hours ahead of me. It's 8:30. I guess it's not like absurd, but like, can you fall asleep okay after?
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh for sure.
Dude,
yeah. Well, I'm tired as hell as is. When you're older, right? You go to bed a lot earlier.
Yeah,
it hurts you not to.
It hurts you not to. Well said. Every single ultimate used here. Tidal wave going out over the top, but the damage seems to be too much from DZG Arcadia. Gonna get out under the cover of night here. There's Gopamine and regular guy trade back and forth. Getting a look at the gold on the bottom side of your screen, and you see the majority of that advantage is coming through the top side. Though Tilted Towers not as far behind as I thought. Frozen Tomb gonna buy Gopamine a little bit of time. That world, and you're not gonna get a ton of value, ton of leech out. The spell shield goes out, Unspeakable Horror goes out, the shield goes down as well, but it's enough to take down Paku Paul. Is now Iron Force support gonna warm up and join the party. D-Dude doesn't have the ultimate. Zayden will be able to get away. Anticus doesn't have a ton of health. He's got enough, or done a ton of mana, excuse me. Got enough health to survive though. Route 16 able to get out of trouble, didn't get himself into range there.
Pretty crazy that only one member ends up going down throughout that whole process.
Yep.
Off the start there, DZG, that engage looks so good. You saw that Paranoia coming through on top of the Rel. They chained CC really well there, but they just didn't quite have enough damage to be able to net those kills. And in the extended trade, as time goes on, of course, they do end up netting Pack-a-Paw on the Xin there. And once again, it seems like Zayden, he's just in the right spot at the right time. He's been a part of 4 of these kills at this point right now, so he's doing a fantastic job. Silent Elements, once again, he's doing a fantastic job. So both jungle and support, you really got to give it to them. I felt like they've impacted a lot of this early game here. They've set themselves up for really good success here moving forwards. And of course, we do see the second dragon being up. FLS not quite in the best position to be able to play for this. D-Dude is going to get stopped. Nothing amounting to that though. Pack-a-Paw though, pay attention to this man. Pretty cheeky.
Yeah, he's able to get, just kind of stick around, right? Like you said, got that first dragon. The second dragon might not be his for the taking here. Every lane kind of in, I mean, the lanes that matter, right? Mid and bot, not in fantastic spots, kind of one way or the other, but Andy's able to get a shove down and make his way over. It's a bit of a level advantage, a big old gold advantage, excuse me. 2,500 gold, and the 6 Void Grubs. We didn't really highlight that, but that did go in the favor of DZG Arcadia. It's a 4v3 here. Coming over from the other side is Tilted Towers. The tidal wave goes out. It's a CC chain onto the support. It does absolutely nothing. And he goes with the Shield of Duran, gets the taunt off. The lights go out on the other side. Tilted Towers turns on the Valkyrie, but he's hitting nobody. He's just swinging at air, Turk. He has the Valkyrie his way out of there, actually. As the CC chain comes down, he will be toast. Gopamine took the scenic route. Didn't even TP down. Just walked his way down to help secure 2 kills.
And that's huge right there. You deny a lot of that dragon stacking. In this instance right now, you pick that up, you get a couple kills for your troubles too, and get this midway pushed in. You'll be able to get your resets if you want. Equally so, Silent Elements, you can start to play for that Rift Shield. You do have that timer, especially with the Sins out now just up. So yeah, not only is that a big gold swing in this instance right here, but that just puts a lot of the tempo that FLS once had. And makes it a lot harder too. And in Route 16 on the Jhin, he actually ended up burning that flash really early in that fight. I was curious to see how it was going to go from DZG. He actually ended up burning his flash to get away from the Nami ult, but the collapse just wasn't there. They weren't able to find the kills, and in that instance, DZG mops up, get themselves a first brick for it too.
It's just been total objective control on the top side by Silent Elements, man. I mean, we talked about it, right? This is what we wanted to see, was being able to enable your laners to get out of their lanes specifically, right? For Gopmi and Alessandra and Aegis on the Galio, now both hitting level 11, getting that cranked up ultimate just a little bit more here. You got 6 of the 8 kills coming from that top side. The bot lane's just been easy breezy beautiful, right? It's been a bit of a snooze fest, but Route 16 is on that first item, got the Executioner, the Collector, excuse me. And yeah, everybody else is just kind of now hitting their first items. And even off the back of that Dragon Turk, regular guy, he committed to try to get to that tower as Gopamine takes the frozen path away from trouble. But he wasn't able to take down that tower. I thought that was going to be what they got in response to that second dragon.
Yeah, and I was kind of wondering about that myself too, and he's done a good chunk on this here. Gopamine, you see he's in a bit more trouble. Does have the TP, does have his flash, does have his
Oh, you know he wants the all-in flash forward with the Q2. He'll take half his health for a solo bolo, absolutely, and make that trade every gosh darn day.
Oh, that's a freak move right there from regular guy. That guy is nothing but. He's anything but regular. I love that. And Aegis coming up here right now. I think wisely, though, chooses just to clear the wave. The regular guy's getting quite strong on this Aatrox.
And Aegis does have a ton of resistances, and now with the Haunting guys, a little bit of damage as well. He's definitely stronger than him. I think if he wanted that 1v1, maybe he could have taken it here. As the Magna Storm comes down, Paranoia coming in over the top. Route 16, free firing from the other side of the terrain. Curtain Call goes out, but it's actually still a 1-for-1 here as D-Dude ripping damage for free. Zayden finally on his own is able to get the stun down. Route 16 doesn't land the Deadly Flourish. D-Dude able to sidestep it, so it's a 2-for-1. Oh my goodness, and here goes Aegis. He's going for the solo bolo now as the Umbral Chains don't land, or they do. They pull Aegis back just in range here. But regular guy's got about 300 HP. Aegis not going for the all-in here. He's got the flash, the electrocute, but wisely, I think, especially without a wave crashing here, not able to get the job done.
Yeah, we'll see if regular guy in the Aatrox does TP topside to try to save that turret.
Yep.
In this instance, he's just going to walk back, so they just sack this once again. So that's the outer from mid and the outer from top going down, and that's really off the back of Aegis. Both of those turrets have basically been solo from him. So yeah, he's done a fantastic job with his lane assignments there. He's been able to set things up, and it seems like DZG and all these trades, it's even if they lose a member, they're always getting 2 on the back end, and you can really start to see that building up here with that 10-3 score line. Aatrox, Lissandra, Gopamine's around. The TP is going to answer, though.
My goodness, will this be enough to bail out D-Dude? Regular guy, he's got to be a big force here if they want to get in this. Frozen Tube does land onto D-Dude, but the raw damage just isn't enough, Turk. Even though the Malignants went down, the tidal wave comes out and D-Dude survives. Not only that, they get the kill onto Gopamine, who started this one out with that flash ult, but it's not enough. Route 16 just barely making it out himself, though.
And there you go. In this instance right here, FLS is going to be able to get something back there, and Gopamine does go down, unfortunately, in that instance right there. But crucially, you can see FLS, they continue to battle. They don't want to concede too much here. We've got this next dragon coming up in about 50 seconds here, so you can see Nami playing with danger. You're dead.
Yeah. And you've got to give a ton of credit here to Sound Elements. He is using that ultimate on cooldown. You talk about how with a Galio ult, with a Nocturnal, that first one has to have that big impact, especially when you go to the experimental hex plate. This is what you love to see. You are ripping that John on cooldown. It's so oppressive.
Yeah, he's doing a great job with this. They're going to be able to crash this Herald too. I don't think they'll get the turret just yet, but you know that outer turret and bot side's going down soon too. So Aegis, if he can get his reset in, maybe they can contest this dragon. But DZG, you don't even have to. I mean, at this point right now, it doesn't even look like FLS is going to be in the right position to play for it, but you're more than welcome to concede these, start playing in for cross maps, and with all the priority that you have in your lanes, like mid's a long lane now, top's a long lane, both of those outers are gone, bot's soon to be there, so you're going to have a lot of windows, and especially when you have a Nocturne and a Galio, champions that can collapse on the side lanes as well as what they can, that's where things get really scary for FLS. Satan does need to be a little careful, though.
Yeah, this is starting to spiral out of control here. I mean, it feels like this dragon fight could be absolutely massive, especially considering that Paka Paul and the boys are the first ones onto it. But here comes the big flag TP here from Gopamine. I think they have no idea, Turk, that he's there. The fight starts again, just free firing over the wall. The tidal wave does actually hit Route 16. It interrupts that fourth shot. Kills traded back and forth. Top laner's getting one after the other. Gopamine buying some time with that frozen tomb. Here comes the hero's entrance, and the raw damage is going to be enough. But this is a closer fight than I thought it was going to be, Turk. It's up to Route 16 to clear this out. I think the Aatrox wins this. I think Route 16 knows that too. A triple for regular guy.
That's a 4 for 4 at the end of the day, Root. Just definitely just back off. Everybody take the resets, get back on that. Don't be surprised to see another fight of this dragon too. Like, that objective's still up, so
yeah.
Both teams could very well contest. The death timers are extremely similar in both instances, so yeah, don't be surprised at all. But that fight started off really well. Once again, Zayden on the route is doing a great job to be able to land that engage, but the Galio doesn't come through in the first portion, and FLS does a really good job of being able to negate the original engage. But in that instance, as time went on, we saw the Galio all get laid in, and I'm not so sure who ended up actually getting to the backline. But once Anticus's all came through there, it just knocked everybody up there, and that's where FLS had a really hard time to be able to clean things up. But regular guy comes through and he saves the day, and at one point he's 1-2, now he's 4-2, 2 items. That Aatrox is scary, man.
Yeah, now you've got a legitimate carry threat. I was kind of alluding to in the middle of a team fight how he's got to be that force to be able to get Fearless over to the late game, right? If you can get there, the Corki in the way, right, with the raw damage and the range as well that those two champions can provide, you've got a way back into this one, especially into a composition that DZG's running here again with no true tank. Oh, hang on a second here. Gopamine almost in a little bit of trouble here. The Paranoia turns out the lights, but everybody clumped up. Apes together strong, say Fearless. If we stay together, no one can hurt us. Gopamine again going for a Mondo flank here. Took the Hextech portal over. I don't know if they see him.
Yeah, DZG needs to get in the right spot here. You can see Route 16, he's walking long, but he's not exactly in range to be able to follow much of anything right now, and FLS has done a really good job. They're baiting this out. I'm not sure the outcome, but they're grouped up. They're ready to go.
No Paranoia. Salad knows it's going to be a one-way journey. He can pop all the defensives he wants. It's not going to matter. Fearless, or Faceless, excuse me, get a huge second dragon in this one. Put themselves one away from Soul Point. And they stall the Bleeding Turk crucially, right? It feels like they have a legitimate foothold in this game with the threat of regular guy.
Yeah, that all came off the back of mid-priority, too. You actually saw Route 16, he was catching that mid-wave, and in that process, when you're catching that mid-wave, you can't collapse and actually find that fight. You don't have the rest of the team to back you up, so you can see Route 16 on the Jhin. He was just forced out. He was dancing really far in his own jungle, and that instance right there, FLS just does a really good job. They just push the mid, group up, force a fight, and then they end up getting the dragon off the back of that for free, end up netting a kill or two in the process, so yeah, kudos to them. Really good setup for the neutral objective. DZG, you can make the argument, maybe you just don't contest that. Yeah, maybe you go and maybe you do push out the mid wave, even if it's a little delayed. You swing up top and start setting something else up on the map. But contesting that dragon looks really hard with the position that they were in.
And now the Axiom arc has come in here for Silent Elements. So really trying to rip that again, just as often as possible. That is oppressive, man. That is messed up. And we got the gold flashing on our screen a little bit earlier, thanks to our producer, Caddy, that you see that the top and bottom lanes are in favor of Faceless as another ultimate yet again going to be ripped here onto regular guy. Blows the flash, blows the world ender here. Just trying to waste his time 2024, but I don't think anybody is coming to help you. This feels like it's just a matter of time. The rest of the team is posturing by Baron here, Turk. Regular guy, I don't think able to take someone down with him. The CC chain is applied very, very nicely there by Anticus. The shield of Durand with the taunt goes off. Zayden will be the sacrificial lamb in this one, though. Throws down the Magnet Storm, but no hope, no prayer, no nothing. Now Route 16, he's got to stall. He's got to buy a bit of time here. The would become lightning, not going to find its mark. The big one able to land onto Route 16, but again, not able to get the taunt with the edge of that in Route 16. Very nice use of the Hextech portal to get himself out of dodge.
Yeah, 1 for 1 overall. That's quite a long sequence there. Regular guy is going to go down. And crucially, he burns his flash too in that side lane. And if you don't have that tier 1 turret, that's where things get tricky. You can get collapsed on so quickly, and that's exactly what happened there. And he tries to buy enough time. He tries to be able to give the 1v2 a shot, but DZG, they just do a really good job waiting out the Aatrox ult. By that time, they know that he's easy pickings, clean him up, but Zayden ends up going down on the cross map, so 1 for 1 in the process. No Baron being started. Seems like it's really hard for both teams to play for that Baron. Just not a lot of damage, so it almost seems like you need like a clean sweep or a clean wipe to be able to really play for that objective.
Yeah, and that's one thing we haven't really seen, right? Is that straight up 4 for 0, 5 for 1 type beat that it seems like you said, both these teams need. The damage is starting to come through though, so maybe at this point you could, take down a neutral objective like the Baron with 2 or 3 members, but This is still very much anyone's game here. DZG, they've been in control for the most part, but the last few minutes have really equalized the pressure. Tilted Towers might be in a little bit of trouble here. Has to flash away. When becomes Lightning, going to get onto Gopamine here, and a ton of damage coming through. The Frozen Tomb's going to buy him some time. He's going to heal some of that back up. Zayden, remember, doesn't have that Magnet Storm because he blew it in that last engagement. The sound element's going down. There goes the Shield of Durand, or excuse me, Shield of Durand now popped here as the Hero Centers goes in over the top. Route 16 able to get the curtain call down, soften his targets up. Andica's going to pop the stopwatch. So is Gopamine. Zayden's got to get in there and provide some body blocking for Route 16, but it's not enough. They space the fight beautifully, and now the Corgi's online. Boy, oh boy, Turk. DZG have a problem on their hands, and his name is Tilted Towers.
Yeah, as this progresses here too, FLS are in a great spot to be able to net this tier 1. I really want to see them back off after, just take the dub, get out. Looks like we're going to get the resets, and that's really well executed there from FLS at the end of the day. And once again, it seemed like that Nami ult was really the pivotal deciding factor there. And Silent Elements ends up getting picked off by that. I'm not sure if he had his flash in that fight or not, but long story short, he goes down. Really good execution there from FLS, and so much damage from Tilted Towers on that Corgi. You're right. He's online. He's ready to go. And that's only 2 items. It only gets worse from here.
Yeah, there's an issue, man. I mean, it really feels like DZG, like the issue is slipping away, or is slipping away from them. Are you okay?
Yeah, I was waiting to see if Iron Force support was going to take the Hex Gate. I've done that before, where you just click and click and click, and you can't take it. So
yeah,
just poking a little fun. But why not? This is downtime right now. Been there, done that. So it's always fun to get somebody else with that one.
Now the heal cut is starting to come through as well here. Oblivion Orb and the Executioners has come through here for both Gopamine and Route 16. Again, to me, it feels like it's too little too late, right? If this was 10 minutes ago, I think that would help out actually a decent amount when Regular Guy was the only threat here, as Route 16 gets jumped on immediately here. I thought they were going to have problems accessing the Jhin. I think I was wrong. Silent Elements, though, meanwhile, going right into the back line, and the Spiraling Despair gets onto him, and it's going to clip Route 16 just a little bit. And before Gopamine can even get there on time, he's throwing everything at this, but just buying time now for the curtain call to go off. Actually gets a decent amount of healing done, but the CC, or the stopwatch, excuse me, will not be enough. Just barely the Ring of Frost, not able to clip enough damage here. And Faceless, excuse me, apologies, second time I've done that. They have fully taken control of this game. Turk, DZG look all over the place.
They are all over the place. We have Lysandre towards top side there. The rest of the team, Silent Elements, he's clearing his bot side camps. And yeah, FLS just pulled trigger. They're really decisive with that. Pack-a-Paul, the E-sub coming through pretty clutch. And yeah, truthfully, I mean, his scoreline doesn't really showcase it, but he's done a really good job of being able to bounce back in this game here. And he set up a lot of these plays, like with that Crescent Guard. It is a Crescent Guard, right? The ultimate? Is that what it's called? Oh, perfect. Eh? We're getting somewhere here. With that Crescent Guard, it buys so much time. And even though it's a short-range team comp from DZG, at the end of the day, like if you can't close the gap, you can't get within range to do damage there, you're not going to be able to make anything else happen. And Route 16 gets picked off, no flash, and yeah, FLS just really smart, really clean decisions. And in DZG, you want to see them kind of fix a couple things up. There's just some unnecessary deaths that are happening when you're trying to catch side lanes. You're trying to get that farm on your solos. I get that, but if the rest of your team's going to die in the process, we got to figure something out.
Now that rapid fire cannon has come through for the Corki again, not really raw damage, but if there was one last advantage that you could count on for DZG, you say, look, this team might not have a lot of range, but to be fair, aside from the Hui, no one on Fearless is going to be, kind of bombing from downtown, lobbing grenades over the wall here as Zayden gets over the crashing Maw. But now with the rapid fire, it gets a little bit trickier here, man. I mean, how do you, like,
you don't.
Yeah, okay, cool. Now, next.
If you want to know the real answer, it's you need to play off this right here. You can see Faceless overextending a little bit. If you have those flank wards, or if you just have that flank position, really it's got to be Zayden, I think, on this rel. If he's behind, he has access to that backline, and I think that Wombo can come through. That's where you need to layer your ultimates, turn the paranoia on, turn the lights off, and maybe then you can clean things up. But Faceless has just done a really good job here, just grouping up. And Aegis, you can see him around here behind. He is looking for a flank.
So is Gopamine. They all go forward. The tidal wave just lands onto Zayden. Into the backline goes Silent Elements, getting the spell shield down. He's able to get Corki out of the issue here, but the Spiraling Despair goes down. Actually hits 3 again. They're all clumped up. This is Hui's playground, but finally gets out of the backline. So 3v3 in the meanwhile. Gopamine is low. Aegis tries to buy some time, but in goes into the backline. The Shield of Durand, the hero's entrance, able to bail out the AD carry, but Regular Guy never died, and he is making it DZG's problem. Triple for Route 16, and it's just not enough.
No, 7-1 Jhin can't save the day there, but Regular Guy can. And yeah, Really, really clean, good heads-up play from him coming through. 7-3 scoreline. He's looking great there, and you can kill the rest of the team. You can kill the rest of Faceless, not a problem. But you can't kill him, and if you can't take him down, then you're gonna have a lot of problems. Those extended trades, those extended team fights when they come through, you can see exactly what ends up playing out. And yeah, you've got the heal cut, but it's not enough right now. Regular guy's doing way too much damage. He's healing up way too much, and he becomes a serious problem. As we talked about it in draft, there's just not enough damage from DZG.
No, and it's a shame, right? I mean, this is kind of what we were hoping wouldn't come to pass if you're a DZG enjoyer, right? The Jhin, Mr. Helpful, it's not even a bad comp for him, right? He usually struggles into tanks, but again, that heal cut, right? It's very kind of single target. You've got to get onto this Aatrox, and the Aatrox, right? If he's got his flash up, he could just flash EU and you're toast. Flash EQ, good night, sweet prince, right? And then that's the brunt of your damage just gone, right? I mean, like what Dopamine and Aegis are doing here, it's kind of like a Mumu, right? You could build him straight damage, you could build him as a tank, or you could take him kind of this hybrid route, right? But he's not going to excel at either.
Well, that's it, right? You're really a jack of all trades, master of none. Mm-hmm. That's effectively what ends up happening here, and we saw it was like that was like a pitch perfect, like textbook fight from DZG. Maybe things could have been a little bit better on the back line, but when you get a fight like that, that's your team comp, that's your identity, and you still lose. That's where you have to start questioning a couple things. And Dopamine should be pretty safe here with the claw. Be able to get away, but Pack-a-Paul burns his flash.
Yeah, burns his flash, goes forward, the wind becomes a lightning. Sound Element's trying to bail him out here with the paranoia, turns off the lights, able to get the unspeakable horror down, but the CC chain is just too much. Route 16 ripping the curtain call from downtown. Sound Elements, Zayden is showing up here for backup. Meanwhile, it's a 1v1, Aegis and regular guy in the bottom lane. I think I know who wins this one, Turk.
I think I do too here. Aegis thinks otherwise, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we might be wrong here. Yeah, Aegis not going for the all-in here. He's got the big health advantage, but he knows with that World Ender back, right, level 3 ultimate, as soon as he pops that, oh boy, things get really, really tricky, even with the heal cut. He's on 3.5 items. He's a full item, effectively ahead of Aegis here, or excuse me, of Dopamine, not Aegis. My apologies. Zayden going forward here, able to get some CC onto D-Dude, but Route 16 has to back off here as he gets jumped on here by Pack-a-Paul again. TP coming in here from regular guy. He's got the World Ender. He doesn't have flash. Hero's Entrance coming in hot. Route 16 trying to stay safe here, able to get decent damage down here. Actually, Aegis backs it up, tries to pace out this fight. Sound Elements goes forward, but the Aqua Prison is fantastic from Iron for support. Tidal Wave going out just in case he can't see. It doesn't matter.
You got to make things scrappy, and Zayden does a really good job with that. Just finding that little pocket of vision that the enemy team does not have, and he sits in that bush, he waits, and we end up finding the way really quick off that. We end up burning D-Dude down. He does have his Zonyas in that instance, so he buys some time, but he still dies in the process. Pack-a-Paul, he follows suit quick after there, and that's exactly what you need. You need really aggressive, cheeky, almost sloppy fighting. I think that I genuinely believe that you need to find those windows where you can find those engages where the team isn't expecting it, and crucially too, if you're able to play around regular guy, like there's still plenty of windows. Your main like, I guess, protagonist, if you want to call it, for Faceless is going to be the Aatrox. So you find those windows where you can pull trigger without him being around, and that's where things become a heck of a lot easier for you guys. So DZG does a pretty good job there at the end of the day, and they just find that little window there, pull trigger, pretty decisive about it, and they net a couple kills for the troubles. But here's the next problem right now. You're going to be late to the dragon here. Faceless, it looks like they should just be able to clean this up, no problem. There's going to be no contest here, and well, I think, oh, wait a second. Okay.
Oh, I mean, I guess you had to try, but
yeah,
maybe you didn't though.
Well, I get it. It's just the problem wasn't there. The problem was about a minute and a half ago when we weren't setting up for that objective to begin with. And of course, this is going to be the end result. Now you're going to lose that soul. That's Hextech soul. That's scary. Now you're going to lose this Baron. That's scarier. And your consolation prize for DZG is to push this mid wave. Maybe play for your tier 2. Maybe. But oof, that's not a very good trade. I wouldn't want to be a betting man there.
Yeah, it doesn't feel too good. The damage that the Baron is doing, I don't know if it's enough, but it's a 5v. No, they're not going to go for it, surely.
No, wisely so. We're going to see that TP getting pulled there from bot side from Tilted Towers. He's going to cover that turret. Zayden, though, he must have Demolish to be able to take that turret, or is really low. But he nets a tier 2 for himself there. That's nice. At least you get a little bit of something. You open up that mid lane that much more. But right now, Faceless doing a really good job here, just getting back onto the map. Hopefully we can see them sync up their resets. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. They can get back onto the map and actually start using this Baron, because that's what we want to see now. You got yourself the soul, you got yourself the Baron, and in this instance, at one point you were down.
Well, There's our one. We might have lost Turk. Once per broadcast, his computer kind of soils itself.
Yeah, you lost me.
Oh, there we go. All right, but you're back now. That was your one.
That's my one right there. So I forget what I was talking about, but I'm sure it was really good.
I think it was great.
Oh,
right now.
Coming through.
Yeah, Silent Elements able to get the flash out. Crushing Maw able to get the CC down. Silent Elements not able to spell shield that one.
That's a dub right there. I'd take that. DZG, if they can take that reset, they get the flash on the way. That's nice. That's what you want to see right now. But this slow chase is where things are going to become really problematic here. You can't match regular guy on that Aatrox in a side lane.
No.
It's just not possible right now. And Aegis, he's going to do his best to try to clear the way, but it's barren. Look at the damage.
Yeah, Tilted Towers, he got that IE, that fourth item. That is a massive spike. I mean, like, he took out 2/3 of Route 16's health with one combo. I mean, not even like a full combo. I mean, he barely got anything at that Gatling gun, but it was just, you know, one ult, and you go forward a little bit, you tickle him with the Gatling gun. That's just the position that Fearless, or Faceless, my goodness, one day I'm going to get it right. The Faceless are in right now. Silent Elements going for the cross map here, able to get the CC down. Unspeakable Horror does land here, but meanwhile, that leaves the rest of the map in a 4v3. Crushing Ball not going to land, but Paka Paul going forward as he always does. What a great E-sub performance here from Paka Paul. Going forward here with the Wind Becomes Lightning, with the charge for the Audacious Charge. Fantastic work. Good team fighting. Really good team fighting from this Xin Zhao. Able to get the, ooh, very nice there. Hero's entrance from Aegis till the tower's going forward here. That'll do it. Faceless take a big comeback game 1 dub over DZG, proving why they've got the stronger record right now, Turk. That was a very solid, very patient, very poised win there from those with no face.
With those from, or those with no face. That's what I meant to say.
There you go.
I almost got it right there that first time. But yeah, you're right. Like, they're down at one point before I froze. I was going to say about 2.5, 3K gold, and then before you know it, they end up coming through. And really, it's off the back of them just basically crossing their T's and dotting their I's, like playing League like how it's meant to be played. Like, if you want to contest for neutral, you push out that mid wave. They do a fantastic job there. That creates that numbers advantage for the first dragon fight that they end up winning. And then after that, you can see them, they just group, they deathball, they force fights. It's really off the back of Paka Paul on that Xin Zhao, and he's the one who initiates. They pull trigger, they find Jin plenty of times, and they clean that up. And you can really look at that gold swing right now too. We can see at one point, yeah, it's actually a 4K gold lead that ends up just ballooning up towards 7.5K there for Faceless. And yeah, kudos to them. Like, that's, by no means are you out of that game, but that really is. I mean, at the end of the day, DZG's game to lose, and they do end up losing it. So by no means the end of the world. Of course, it's still a best of 3, so you have time to be able to adapt. In the game itself, right? Maybe just being able to, well, maybe it's just more communication. We're just getting picked off whenever our solos are trying to catch sides or whenever our jungler's clearing camps, and we're the ones who are supposed to find those angles. Right, we can actually collapse much easier than the enemy team can with our global ultimates, and it just seemed like we weren't able to do that. We weren't able to execute. So now you wonder, that's in game. What happens outside of game for this game too? Now, how do they want to adapt? Do they want blue side? And those are kind of the questions that I'm wondering.
Yeah, no, I mean, I imagine you go blue side here, right? But I think, yeah, just giving yourself something that's going to carry yourself a little bit better into the late game, I imagine. Because again, like, the early game was really good from DZG. They were all over the place. Paka Paul, he was doing absolutely nothing until kind of level 11 here. I will say, honestly, though, Galio having top damage, I didn't have that on my bingo card. A little 35K for the boys. That is wild.
Quite impressive, I must say. Yeah, 35K, actually. I didn't even notice that, so I'm glad you pointed that out. Yeah, that guy's a freak, I guess. And he ends up going to Sunfire too, so he does adapt there. Sunfire Riftmaker, and I can't remember the rest of his build, but yeah, that damage comes through. And I mean, that's just a really good play there coming through early on. In general, back-to-back, collapsing on that mid lane, getting that Galio ahead, and it was really off the back of Zayden too. It felt like he was in the right place at the right time, like multiple times on that rel. So he did a really good job being able to get them accelerated early on. They just couldn't end up closing out. They couldn't execute when it came to mid to the late game, and it really just comes off the back of their decision making and their lane assignments, I feel. So little food for thought. I think pretty easy fixes and pretty easy to adapt to. I mean, moving into this game too, we talked about how they want to approach the draft. Do they take the blue side now? Do they want the red side for the counter picks on their solos? Like, however they want to work things out, by no means did they lose that game from the draft, though. It really just was execution. And to me, that's probably a good thing. It's probably a good thing.
We'll see if they can correct those kind of mid-game snafus and follow up a really impressive early game, see if there are any adaptations in draft, side selections, etc. In the meantime, we'll be right back and take it to a quick break. When we come back, game 2 for what Faceless hope will be the final game of the series. DZG not trying to make that the case. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. AEL Week 4 rolls on. Faceless took a 1-0 lead over DZG Arcadia. It started off really ugly, but at the end of the day, I mean, the draft was, I think, a safer draft, right? Drafting themselves with the Hui, with the Corki, really good scaling options there, big carry threat, but regular guy. For me, he gets MVP of that one. I mean, Paka Paul, his team fighting was amazing, but the way that regular guy was able to make himself a legitimate threat, like you said, and give him the ability to soak up pressure inside lanes and make that mid game really, really difficult for DZG. What he did for Faceless allowed his team to get back into it.
For sure, and he really just did it by himself too. It seemed like he didn't get much support at all. So in that isolation, that 1v1, he didn't even get necessarily CS leads. It's just the way that he team fought. He played really well off that, and then he applied a ton of pressure to that Lissandra matchup. And yeah, he did exactly what he needed to do for the rest of his team. And as we move into this draft right now, we are actually going to see, of course, both teams do end up taking that swap here. So we do have DZG on that blue side in this instance. So they are going to elect to take that B1 Corki here. So pretty heavy prow from that champ.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, after that rework, you can play him in a couple different locations, and you can. He's always been a terror. He will always be a terror, right? I mean, you can run, but you can't hide from Corki. I don't know if we've got the draft actually up on the screen for the stream.
Is it just us? Oh, it's just us.
Just us right now, but
blurry.
But spoiler, that is what happened. But I don't know. I mean, maybe we can.
Boom.
We're
back. Okay.
Perfect. There we go. All right. Draft on your screen for you. They're going to respond with the Caitlyn R1.
So the Caitlyn right there, when you index into... Are they going to lock that? Do they just anticipate that Corki going mid? They just want a handshake and just do that Corki Azir, something that we've seen for God knows how many years now in competitive, probably 5-6 years. That Corki Azir snooze fest mid lane matchup, but of course that Corki is a flex, so you can send that anywhere. I don't anticipate them to send it bot side though. They probably will just handshake and send that mid. And when you draft something like the Caitlyn here so early on in your comp, you want to be able to make sure that you could play around that Caitlyn. So you're going to need probably a really heavy prio support. Something where you can get a counter pick there. You are on red side, so good news. You have that, and you're going to need an early game agency jungler. So if Faceless is able to pull that off, is Zin still up? It looks like in this instance it is. If we can see something like that going through from them, that could be the play, and we'll have to see.
We're gonna get the Mordekaiser in the meanwhile here, and again, kind of you're just blinding that, right? The Corki probably not going to go top right. Like you said, if anything, it would go into the bottom lane. You're going to get outranged by the Caitlyn, so I think you are probably going to handshake that if you can help it. Thresh, I love it when Thresh is meta. This is my favorite champion in League of Legends. I adore him. Yes, I'm a support player, but I think I would say that even if I wasn't. I think this champion, like, he's a lead. I'm not going to say he's beginner friendly, but like he looks sick. And he's edgy as hell. And I think the skill expression you can have on this champion is just unbelievable. Like good Thresh versus great. A great Thresh can single-handedly win you a game. A good Thresh, it's a good Thresh. But a great Thresh, you can 1v9. It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, Thresh is an awesome champion. He's really fallen out of meta too. Like select champion or select players will end up picking him up in certain scenarios. But yeah, to be able to see a Thresh, it's nice when that champion actually does come back through. And then before you know it, you start to really hate Thresh again when you start to play against him and you recognize that this guy's pretty good. He's canceling all your dashes with flays, landing all the hooks, predicting flashes, everything that a great Thresh does. So in this instance, we're actually going to see that coming through. We're actually going to see the Melio coming through as that matchup pick. So we are going to have that 2v2 bot side prio, that Caitlyn Melio double ranged, looking pretty strong. You have that range advantage, that push too. So we'll see how well that bot lane pairs up. It's really going to come down to hooks. If death sentences land, if you're able to actually find those windows where you can make those plays, then that Corki, that Thresh, or I guess maybe not even Corki, whatever AD they want to pair that with, that's where they can find their windows. So Caitlyn Melio, if they're able to play at range, they have a lot of windows, a lot of options to be able to scale up, but they need this Caitlyn to get ahead. They need her to take plates. They need her to get her first turret. They need her to rotate and start setting up for the other turrets and start playing for those too. And that R4 hover right now, lock-in, is going to be that Udyr.
Okay, so you could take that into the jungle or the top lane, I guess. Still leaving your options open here. Take it into that Mordekaiser. I actually wouldn't hate. I mean, so often, right, when Thresh was, kind of the king of the supports in the meta, right? You pair him usually with something like a Jinx or a Felios, right? You just you stay safe. You let that, let your pet AD carry hyperscale. I wouldn't hate that from DZG, right? I mean, just kind of taking some learnings from game one. In the late game, you stood kind of no chance. And it seems like this composition is a little more well-rounded. We have a Zed. I've never casted a Zed game. I have casted probably close to 1,000 games of League of Legends. A lot. I've been doing this for a while here. I have never gotten to cast a Zed game. I think that is literally the only champion I've never casted.
That's awesome. No, I can't tell you the last time that I've casted it either, and you can't really tell because for some reason my webcam's pretty blurry here. But I've got a big grin on my face. I got a big grin on my face right now. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. That's a B5 Zed coming through. So you like to see that. Shows confidence, especially when you're down in this instance right now. And well, it worked game one. Why break it for game two, right? Like that Aatrox was a menace, and I could almost anticipate the second thing, or the same thing coming through here in the second game. Oh, that Aatrox into that Mordekaiser matchup, you do have that range to be able to play at bay with that Aatrox, slowly chip away at the Mordekaiser. The all-ins probably favor the Mord for a while, but we'll have to see exactly how that top lane matchup goes. But from game one to game two, don't be surprised if, once again, we see regular guys starting to really take control of this game.
How do you feel about this Milio pick?
Honestly,
I don't feel like you're getting a ton of value out of it.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, you try. I don't know. You always try to paint the silver lining as like a caster.
Yeah.
But if you want my honest answer, I don't like it. I think you need something with more priority. There's a lot of options that you even have. Like, so you can run Caitlyn Lux if you want. You can run Caitlyn Karma if you want. You can run Caitlyn Bard. Bard doesn't always do the best, but Thresh gets countered even still. Thresh gets countered by pretty much every engaged support too, so you can even just pick something like a Nautilus right here, call it a day. There's a lot of options that you have. By you picking the Melio, I don't think it's necessarily too bad, but what are you really going to ult? What are you going to cleanse with your ult in this instance? You got a Death Sentence, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, I guess you can cleanse the box. I mean, because disabling and immobilizing effects. So
okay,
maybe,
I guess,
right?
yeah, fair enough.
I mean, you can't cleanse Mortal, right? You can't cleanse the Death Mark from Zedult. You can't cleanse a knockup, I don't think.
Yeah, no, you can't. Nope.
Right?
The only knockup you can...
His ultimate, right? In his E, forget about it.
Yep.
We're going to run for a ton of CC, right? But like you said, you've got range. You've got range and sustain. Yeah. I guess it could be worse to pair with the Caitlyn in isolation. I think in the lane it's all right. Maybe I'm looking at this too kind of linearly or like in too binary a way. But Milio's ult is such a freaking game changer, right? I want to put him in a place where I can get a lot out of that.
I agree. Yeah, and you don't really have a lot of hard CC that you can cleanse that instance. So in that 2v2, they should still have the priority coming through. Like the Caitlyn Melio should be able to apply a lot of pressure. Hopefully, if they're able to start playing for those plates, that's where they can actually start to get that gold advantage, because that Caitlyn mid game is just absolutely atrocious. So if you can accelerate her past that part, get her to those 3 items, that's where she really starts to come online. And of course, you have that early game to kind of piggyback off of. So that's where you really need to see a lot of attention being put towards Faceless. Like if Udyr isn't pathing bot, I'd be very surprised, because even though you have that option topside in isolation, you should just leave that Aatrox alone. Let him do his thing. He's going to be A-okay. He did it once in game 1. Expect the same in game 2 here. Path down bot side, play around your bot, because even when you look at it, your mid lane, you don't have many options. Like Azir, you're going to have some trouble. Early on, you might have to push into Zed, but by level 3, especially level 5, level 6, you won't. And that's where Zed's going to start to have that prowess. So DZG is going to have those options with that mid lane to be able to swing and play to those sides. So they're going to have lots of windows in that regard, but Faceless is really going to be on that Caitlyn and that Melio to really get this ball rolling.
And it's so tough to gank the Azir, right? Well, like you said, once you hit that kind of level 3 mark, especially once you hit level 6, right? With Flash, with ult, with an EQ, you can just get yourself to safety so easily. Now, Zach can close a lot of ground, right? With his Elastic Slingshot, but DZG, excuse me, going with a high firepower composition, but I think they've drafted themselves a little bit better this time around. This feels safer. You've got yourself a true tank in the Zach, the scaling threat in the Corki, but I think, I don't know, man. I think it's going to come down to the Zed, man. You're going to need a big carry performance here from Tilted Towers.
Yeah, there's no question about it. You need that Zed to really make this game, because otherwise he's going to break it. So if you don't get that Zed ahead early on, where you can start building those 2 items, most certainly going lethality here. So that early game damage won't exactly be there, but by that 1-2 item spike, that Zed, once he does start to get that prow in that mid side, you want him roaming, you want him impacting those side lanes, you want him getting kills. And if he does, then he becomes a serious problem, because that's where you can find picks like Melio's a sitting duck. Caitlyn, probably even still a sitting duck. You need to have your flash, and pretty much every time that ZR comes through, a flash is going to be burned on one of those members. So there's going to be lots of windows for DZG to find those angles. They just need to
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for being here and watching the AEL Week 4 Chemtech Division action here between two mid-table sides. Faceless on the red side. Took the game 1 win on blue side last time around against DZG Arcadia. Turk, take over. I feel a coughing fit coming on. 1 sec.
As we move into this game number 2 here, we can see nothing too crazy here. Both teams just electing to take that 5-point here. Of course, if you're able to track that jungler early on, you know exactly where he's going to be pathing to. So Aegis had a really strong showing in game 1 on that Galio. Hopefully we can see the same thing coming through on the Zed, and he actually elects just to take that TP and that Ignite, so no flash on the man. And I don't think you need it. I think that's a fair point, but that TP and Ignite, that could tell you exactly how he wants to play this lane, and he wants to find as many windows as he can to really start accelerating this game.
Yeah, Zed, I know Deathmark, and I know that the Q is something Shuriken, so I'm pulling that up here. Again, this is, I've never casted this champion. Shadow Slash, Living Shadows, the Swappy Boy, and then Razor Shuriken. There we go. I knew Deathmark.
Yep. That's it, Razor Shuriken.
Yeah, I actually knew the passive as well, Contempt for the Weak. I did know that, because it's a very, very, very metal-sounding passive.
Yeah, that is, isn't it? Oh. That makes you want to go into a mosh pit or something.
Exactly. Amen, brother.
Well, maybe not me, but maybe others. But we actually do see something really interesting. We're actually going to see that first strike coming through from D-Dude on that Caitlyn, so that looks like it's going to be lethality style. And I mean, yeah, you're going to spike a lot sooner. It actually kind of gets you through a lot of that crappy or mid game that Caitlyn does end up dealing with here. So that's my guess right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like a collector coming in first. So yeah, as they do get that level 2 advantage here, it is going to be matched here from Route 16 and Zayden, and the hook can come through here.
Ooh, just sidestepped it.
Yeah. Regular guy and go for me. Lots of trading we saw in game 1 here, and in game 2, it's by no means any different here. Tilted Towers does have that power early on, something that both you and I anticipated, but again, as time goes on, once that level 3 comes through for Aegis on that Zed, that's where things can really start to swing for him, so nothing too crazy right now, kind of exactly what we've expected. No level 1 shenanigans or anything like that, and regular guy, once again, he's up. He's getting that prio in his lane, so he's doing exactly what he did in game 1, and hopefully we can see that from him in game 2.
Goes forward here, does Silent Elements, very nicely done, gets the Q1, Q2, and Tilted Towers, able to interrupt his dash, and first blood onto the Zed. Could not have asked for a better start for DZG.
That's just a cheeky little 3-camp gank on a Zac, which is something you almost never see. That's a transition gank. He just does this 3-camp spot side, swings through mid, finds that angle with his E, whatever it's called. Help me out. What is it called?
Elastic Slingshot.
Nice. Zayden going in for the flash here. The death sentence comes through. Lands.
Ooh, very nicely done. Yeah, helps the Ignite take just that little bit further, and Route 16 picking up a kill now. So 2 big scaling threats potentially online here for Route 16. Pocket-Paul going forward. Flash, bear, slap. It's not quite what it was in the old days, but Route 16 will go down. Kill does unfortunately go over to the Milio here. Cozy Campfire keeps Pocket-Paul nice and warm on this cold October night. And the double goes over to Iron Force support. Oh, you hate to see it.
You do. I mean, at the end of the day, Pocket-Paul does exactly what he needs to do. So does Iron Force support. Ideally, you want both of those kills going to your Udyr, but you're still going to get the XP. You're still going to be able to clear this wave out, push it in, get it reset for your Caitlyn, which is exactly what you needed, because this bot lane has to win for Faceless. So good recovery there from Pocket-Paul, the E-sub player. Just doing a great job this series, really.
Yeah, no, he's been a treat to watch. And again, homie was an E-sub, and that don't think E-boy, think emergency. Although maybe I guess I don't know that for sure. We'll get someone in the chat to configure that one. Zayden waiting as long as he can for the death sentence, but can't hit it point blank. Tilted Towers juked him out of his shoes as the flay comes backward. Cozy Campfire goes down. Iron Force support is here with his warm hugs. His Fuemigos coming forward to help here as the Phoenix Dance. Pocket-Paul looking for that first kill. He was denied it twice in the bottom lane. He will not be in the mid lane, and all of Turk from 2-0 in the blink of an eye to 3-2. Faceless back in this one in a big way. Route 16, man, oh man, he's got a pickaxe and he is making it. D-Dude's problem flashes forward. One more auto will do it. How about it? Iron Force support kicks the ball into him, and that's all he'll get.
Holy, just trades and fighting back and forth. So many things happen so quickly. Pocket-Paul once again in the exact spot that he needs to be there. He ends up cleaning that kill on the back end there. And yeah, really good jukes there from Tilted Towers to buy as much time as what he did. So Pocket-Paul could get there. And then equally so, Route 16 ends up with that pickaxe. Just that AD damage, just completely shredding D-Dude. He burns his flash for a kill. That's worth it all day. Now you can see he's just working to get this wave in. Once that crashes, he's going to take his reset. I'm sure he's sitting on quite a bit of gold after all of that too. So That Corki, that's going to be really scary, especially with that Halo Blades. Things are really going to ramp up quickly for them too.
Yeah, that upfront damage is crazy. I mean, it's going to be really, really tough to deal with. I mean, thank goodness for D, dude, that you've got an Enchanter support and you've got barrier and some range. Otherwise, this lane would be going, I feel like it could be going just a lot worse. I mean, I say that now. I didn't think that Route 16 was able to do much here, but clearly I did not respect the power of AD Corki.
Well, you and I were both wondering that. We actually assumed that the Corki was just going to put into that snooze fest matchup for Set Azir, and it looks like Faceless was anticipating that too, because they are 2 that Azir, so they picked that really early on. And little curveball coming through from Aegis on that Zed. He's happy to take that right now, and we do see that death mark now finally unlocked. And once he clears this wave, expect a lot of action mid.
Yep, again, he took that Ignite TP for a reason. He wants to be in there like swimwear, trying to make it your problem that he picked Zed. You don't want to lose to the Zed one trick. Yeah, you got to put that guy in his place if you're Faceless right now. But this is a banger so far here. We're tracking at about a kill per minute here. I think it'll slow down, but I say that here, like you said, as soon as that wave gets pushed in here by Aegis, we might see them just roam down here. Very nice lantern, going to get Route 16 out of trouble, holds onto the barrier as well. But Tilted Tower's not making it exactly easy for him to push this wave up. Meanwhile, Silent Element's going to be first one on the Void Grubs.
Yeah, that's exactly right now. So just a cross map coming through here. Both teams are just happy to be able to grab this at the end of the day. So nothing too crazy happening. This is just a good play from the bot prow that you had. Mid right now, we didn't get a chance to talk too much about it. I'm curious to see how this grasp ends up going for Tilted Towers on the Azir. I know that this was definitely the meta for a while, but I know that they also reworked grasp to not scale as much. You really have to build that HP now to get the full value of that rune. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes through. But I understand the reasoning here. You don't want to get all in, like is exactly what's happening right now. And Elastic Slingshot was channeled for a second, but it looks like it was canceled.
Yeah.
That CD should be coming right back up, though, but a lot of attention in that mid side. We can see Udyr hovering, too.
Yeah, as Route 16 gets the Phosphorus Bomb down, he's got the big one available. A little bit of splash damage here, but both junglers crossing each other in that mid lane like ships in the night. It feels like that mid lane's about to explode. It's like a powder keg. Flay goes down, flashing away, and Iron 4 support goes down. Support on support crime in the bottom lane as Zayden gets on the board.
Yeah, both flashes burn from Melio too, and the dive can happen if that death sentence comes through too, and the fish comes through, but there's no bites on that line. So gonna grab that one kill right there and probably push this next wave in for them. And once again, this bot side doing so good from DZG, and that's really what you need, because that Caitlyn Melio, we talked a lot about it, even though we didn't think it was the strongest 2v2 lane. You have to win lane. And right now, they are definitely not. The Deathmark coming through.
Ooh, Deathmark coming through, the Ignite coming down as well. Andy is going for the Shadow Step, or not Shadow Step, the Shadow something. It's, again, forgive me, but he gets himself out of dodge. That was brave initially there.
Yeah, was that damage coming through? I mean, you can make that argument. It's definitely that grasp that keeps Tilted Towers alive there, but unfortunately, does have to burn his flash in that instance right now. Regular guy and GoFundMe trading.
Yeah, as a big old indestructible shield comes through from Gopamine. Regular guy has to flash away, trying to humble dash away as well. Gets the Q1 down. Q2 not gonna find his Marcus. Gopamine flashes away. That might be all he needs. Death's Grasp not gonna find it. Dashes away. Here comes Pack-a-Paul. Wherever the action is, you can expect this man to be there right alongside it. Indestructible coming back up, and not a moment too soon. But the stun comes through Pack-a-Paul. His second kill of the game. Very well deserved. 100% KP for the boy.
Yeah, he's playing great. It's exactly what you need to see here. He did really well in game one, got off to a slow start there on that Zen, but his team fighting was exceptional in game two. He's definitely turned it up a couple notches here, and he's been at every single one of these fights. And yeah, you got 2 kills tonight from early on. Maybe arguably he could be 4-0 right now, but 2-0-2 with your lane injuries completed at 9.5 minutes. It's hard to complain.
Yeah, no, could definitely be going a lot worse. Yeah, you got that Leandry's going. Man, first one to a full item. It is Pack-a-Paul. Again, emergency sub. A great performance on the Xin Zhao in game one, and clearly he's feeling himself. Elastic Slingshot in. Stretching Strikes goes out as well.
Oh, the ult?
Shuriba Shuffle gets 3 in a tower range. Has to blow 2 flashes. Has to blow the Zac ult as well. Sends out the death sentence. All he finds is a hook. Tilted Towers with a maybe game-saving play right there. Could have gotten another one into the pocket of Aegis. Instead, Pack-a-Paul going to be bearing the brunt of his wrath as Aegis gets the death mark down. Damage taken away here. Silent Elements will go down, but the passive, the Cell Division, will keep him alive for now. Everybody else roaming here. Aegis, not a ton of health here, but does have a little bit of damage with the Rectrix and the Shiv. Serrated Jerk, thank you. All right, Route 16 picking up a kill.
Yeah, Route 16, that's a good roam too from him. And
Yeah.
even though it actually ends up like, he doesn't really sack his wave by any means because it's actually in a really good spot, but he doesn't push that wave in there, and it might have caught Faceless off guard there. And that's just a really nice play from him. He has that Valkyrie, he has that flash, so much gap close so quickly until the towers. There's nothing you can do when you're in that position there. So kudos to him. That's 3 kills now sitting on that Corki, so he's looking great. After he catches a spot wave, expect him to have his first item there. So he's off to the races as we see more trading top.
Again, Gopamine able to get pretty decent passive damage down. No summoners available for either champion, but the ultimate's available for regular guy. Gopamine have to wait a little bit longer before he wants to hoover him into the death realm. D-Dude does have this rated Dirk here, but again, waiting for that call cash out here. Right now, I think Route 16 sitting on quite a bit of gold here. 3 kills and an assist, and you haven't got a completed item yet, but you have got 3 fairly expensive components, all things considered here.
That's right. And if Route 16, he's doing a really good job right now, just avoiding any sort of poke. He should know that he's weak-sided, of course, as jungle and supporter playing for that 6 Void Grub spike, and no doubt I'd be doing that too. And in this instance, I think it's absolutely worth it. But as long as your Corki doesn't go down in the process, he doesn't miss too much here in this sequence that they're end up playing for, then things are going to be looking really good for DZG, honestly. And the gold at this point right now, negligible, really is even. Aegis doing well. Yep. Route 16 doing well. Everybody's really doing exactly what they need to do as DZG right now. We just want to see a couple more kills here as we do see the death mark coming through.
Ignite coming down as well. This should be a death as soon as that ticks. 1 for 1. As Aegis until the towers again just trading blows here. A full item for Aegis until the towers able to take it to him with just his components.
Yeah, that's really nice too if you're the Azir there. Going 1 for 1 right now, and especially with that Ignite advantage on that set, like that's dub. I'd take that for sure. And hopefully we see Faceless right now off this bot proud that they have. Perfect. We can see Pack-a-Paul swinging in to start playing for this dragon. He is going to be spotted on a pink, but I don't anticipate any sort of fight coming through from DZG. We still haven't seen Route 16 on this Corki take his reset yet, so he's got a lot of gold. And I wonder if we can actually, Caddy, take a quick look there at the gold. I'd be very curious to see how much he's actually sitting on, if we get a chance to do that. If not, that's A-okay too. But yeah, that man has a lot of gold. He needs to get his reset here, so a little bit of a split call.
Ooh, hang on a second here. Elastic Slingshot. He goes over, but not able to take it. In fact, it is just an auto, I think, from D-Dude that's able to mop up the dragon. But with a well-placed Lantern Silent Elements, able to get the heck out of dodge. Coming back with the Essence Reaver. Didn't bother to finish up his boots, but man, just a lot of raw damage coming in. Now, Route 16 is going to be a problem.
That's right. Had he been able to get his reset off a little bit earlier, maybe he was waiting for his item spike. You can make that argument, but if he got that reset off earlier, maybe they could have contested it, but I mean, DZG, you don't really have to. It's A-okay. You're more than willing to let that one go. That next dragon you might want to consider contesting for, but you still have about 10 minutes before you really need to make a play in that bot side. Death Sense is going to land, but I think wisely so. Both members just decide to back off. No real support there from really anybody on the team right now, and we just see once again blow for blow on this top side.
Ooh, Gopamine's kind of low here. The Q3 goes forward. Conqueror propped as the World Ender goes through. One more auto will do it. Deathmark again back up. Ignite not available here. And that, as such, not going for the all-in. No, he's got that advantage there.
He stands his ground, eh? He does not mind one bit with that grass. He absorbs a lot of damage. I mean, he's got a lot of health. He can absorb a lot of damage. Yeah. And he's working on that Leandrius right now. He's going to have that very soon. You can actually see that cloth armor being picked up, so I'm very curious, but I wouldn't be surprised to see steel caps coming through. We are going to see that. EQ from Tilted Towers, the slow chase is there, and Aegis is on the wrong side of the map.
Yeah, he's on the wrong side of the train tracks. He's got to be careful here. Sound Elements very nicely using the Q2 on the tower. Sometimes you forget that you can do that, and that will be enough to pull off the dive as Route 16 survives. Aegis taking the blast cone over. Iron for support. He's about to walk into his 3rd kill, I think, as a death mark does go down on the Faceless, excuse me. Oh, gosh, I apologize. Support. And eventually, Pack-a-Paul picking up that kill.
We'll send a petition to Faceless to see if they want to rename.
Golly.
That's all right. We've all been there. No worries at all with that. But that is a nice cross map from both teams here coming through. At the end of the day, and on the longer sequence, we are going to see that Rift Arrow coming down for Faceless. So they're going to net that for themselves. That's nice. You want to see that. 6 Void Grubs, of course, going to DZG, so they have a lot of side lane threat now. And by you chunking this mid turret, it sets you up for a great position to be able to play for that tier 1 mid now. And Tilted Towers on this Azir just doing a fantastic job, really, at the end of the day. Aegis taking that Ignite into this matchup, and he's been able to find a couple kills, but at this point right now, Tilted Towers, he continues to scale up. He's becoming really strong in and of himself, so that is there. He's going to be a problem too.
Yeah, speaking of someone who's probably sitting on a lot of gold, I feel like he's been on that item breakpoint for a while now. There goes the Leandry. He's probably going to pick up the Sork shoes as well, or maybe just that cloth armor. Maybe the Leandry's a little bit more expensive than I thought. Okay, there we go. Ooh, okay.
Oh, wow. So is he going Frozen Heart then?
I guess so, right? It is that Showmaker tank Azir, right? When this build first came up, I think it was with the Frozen Heart. It's Leandry's Frozen Heart, and then you just be a nuisance. You just stay alive.
Well, I mean, that makes more... Oh, the hook comes through.
Yeah, that was max range. That was a Nautilus hitbox right there. D-Dude is in some trouble here, but getting a ton of heals and shields from Iron Force support. Man, oh man. I think he heard all the smack I was talking about the Milio pick, but he single-handedly saved his AD carry right there.
Yeah, with that Echoes of Halia actually being completed there for that Milio, things can get really scary too, especially if these fights continue to last a long time. The E is going to get negated here from Silent Elements. Fails to flash too. He's going to go down.
Yeah, hate to see that. That was an ill-advised flash, but hey, we've all been there. Tilted Tower is going to pick up his second kill of the game. Well on his way to what should be that Frozen Heart Dragon available. Nope, just kidding. Not available for another minute. But the Herald, thank you, Brain. Herald is available. So with that, I think that's where you're going to use it, right? I think you rip it down mid. You make them make a decision.
Well, that's it right now. It really just does become when you want to do it, because I think both you and I agree. I anticipate that coming through mid unless you're somehow able to break this tier 1 right now, which we don't anticipate. But do you wait and hold that for the Dragon timer? Do you drop your Rift then, force the enemy team to make that decision? At that point, you really have put yourself in a checkmate spot. So play for that turret, you win there. You play for the Dragon, you win there. So Faceless, they have options. What do they want to do here? It'll be interesting to see. But right now, nothing too crazy here. Tilted Towers in the side lane should be A-okay into Aegis, and you really actually want to see the Zed start to roam away from this Azir at this point right now, especially, with it looks like that Frozen Heart coming through. It's going to be really hard to be able to kill him, and that makes way more sense than the Steel Caps, 100%. So I understand exactly where this build is going now, and it's spicy. I like it. There's a lot of AD damage, so it can work out really, really well for them, for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you've got so much sustain, right? So many kind of off, quasi tanks here, and it's interesting, right? Because I feel like I was almost criticizing the this sort of thought process from DZG last game, right? Of like, oh, you've got, you're building the Galio kind of, half tank, half not, right? You're building the Lissandra kind of, with a little bit of sustain, with a little bit of not. But I feel like with these champions, it just works better. I don't know, man. Am I being hypocritical here?
No, not at all. Especially when you have that Leandry's completed on Pack-a-Paul too, right? You have that AP damage actually split up right now, so you can afford to kind of itemize into some of that survivability. And in those long trades, if Tilted Towers is alive on that Azir, he can make a lot of things happen. And of course, as we see that Dragon Tiber coming up, we see Faceless grouping up. They did a great job in this game 1 here. In game 2, it's no different by any means here. So they get that first tier 1 turret. They drop the Azir turret in response here, and this is definitely going to be a crash. Uh-oh, that's right.
Oh man, didn't get what he needed out of that one. Breath of Life goes out just in case there. Going all in there is Atticus, excuse me. Not able to get the Ignite down, but Gopamine with a very nice test grasp. The Indestructible comes out, plays him out of his shoes. Regular guy goes down. What a turnaround from Gopamine there, getting something back for DZG, but now Faceless have their sights set on the Dragon.
Yeah, they do. We do have the TP from Gopamine there. If he wants after that wave, he could take his reset and contest, but looks like the rest of his team won't be in the position to be able to do that. Of course, Zac being dead makes total sense. So this Dragon should be going down here. It's going to put them on soul point here for Faceless, and they have a win con right around that 22, 23 minute mark here. And
well, yeah,
we have the rest of the members hovering here, but yep, that's going to go down from Faceless there, and they put themselves in a fantastic spot here in this game, and they missed those 6 Void Grubs early on, so unfortunately they don't have that, but there hasn't been a lot of side lane threat. There has been a lot of pressure being applied to these turrets from DZG, so those Void Grubs almost feel negated in and of themselves, and if you put yourself at a soul point in trade, I would take that all day long in this instance.
That's what we saw in game 1, right? Which is superior mid-game play from Faceless. The objective control was kind of even for both parties. But DZG, right, they do get the 6 Void Grubs like you were saying, but they can't really do anything with them, right? It's a bit of a win more objective. And DZG, they found themselves in a spot here. They're not getting smoked by any means, but 3,500 down, right? 2 towers to 1, 3 dragons to 0. And all of a sudden here, like you said, Turk, you're on the clock. You've got a date in 4 minutes, and everyone you know is going to be there. So pucker up, Buttercup.
100%. And yeah, you have a really hard time actually sieging with this team comp. You just don't have the range there. You have 1 ranged member, and that's Corki, and that is not going to be enough to be able to take these turrets. So if Faceless just match you in numbers on whatever lane you try to siege, unless you have a Baron, you won't be able to get those turrets. And Yeah, you're right. It really is that next timer, 3 minutes and 50 seconds. So just shy of 4 right there for Faceless. And now they have options too. They don't. Oh, we could actually see a little bit of a trade coming through here. Ooh. Good dodge in the death sentence.
Yeah, very nicely done. Pack-a-Paul doing very, very well here. Cozy Campfire goes out. Warm Hugs as well. Infernal Chains go out, and actually a lot of damage being ripped into Silent Elements here as the Ace in the hole gonna find Gopamine. Silent Elements somehow gonna get away by the skin of his teeth, but he's just getting ripped through in these fights, Turk, as Route 16 gonna pick up another one for him. He's got 4 kills. Kills traded back, actually no, not even back and forth, just 1 there at the end of the day for DZG.
Yeah, it looked like it came off the back of just really good vision control there from Zayden. He had a pink in that one bush. He found that death sentence on that straggler. D-Dude was trying to walk to be able to be at that topside fight, but he was late. He got picked off, and it's exactly what you need to see. Barrier being traded from both ADCs, but Root get the kill at the end of the day. 4-1, 2 items with that IE now, and yeah, he's going to hurt. He's going to continue to hurt here, and regular guy's doing a really good job here, continuing to apply as much pressure here as what he can topside, even with that solo kill going to Gopamine, still continuing to apply that pressure and constantly just pushing and pushing and pushing. And you can see right now, drawing 3 members, he recognizes the danger that he's in. That opens up the rest of the map for his team. They can all take their resets here, get back onto the map, and actually start setting things up once again for that 2.5 minute dragon timer.
And I feel like, Turk, we talk about side lanes, right? And clearly these 2 top laners, right? They're forces in and of themselves. But Aegis can 1v1, I feel like, pretty much anybody except maybe that. Well, actually, no, I say that. Who do you think he could 1v1 regular guy? Because I feel like the point I'm trying to make here, Tilted Towers, right? With the build he chose, right? With the grasp, knowing he was going into the Zed, Frozen Heart, right? Aegis is going to win that 100 times out of 100, right? And just burst you down, 100-0 you. But right now, Aegis, he's losing out on these trades and got an ugly way.
Oh, well, actually, in both side lanes, he really doesn't have any kill threat in the 1v1, so he needs to get these waves pushed or sack a wave in the process, deny a bit of your tempo, and then actually just look to group up or find a pick. And really, the 2 members that you can kill, it's going to be that Caitlyn and it's going to be that Melio. So if you can find windows there, for sure you have angles, but all this damage here, Zayden pulling trigger.
Able to land the death sentence, Silent Elements. Gets the key one up from the stretching strikes.
Wait.
Up from Dopamine, big ol' Shurima shuffle. Hurdles 3 into danger here. Ace in the hole goes down. Silent Elements, again, not able to do much. He says, let's bounce, but it is far too late for such shenanigans, Mr. Zach. Tilted Towers finally goes down on the hack of the Indestructible by the Mordekaiser, but that will be it. A 4-for-0. Aegis didn't even show up to the party. He knew it was over before he even got there. Big team fight win for Faceless.
Yeah, he's late. It really is just Faceless once again, grouping up and pulling trigger, just being decisive. And really off the back of Tilted Towers. Beautiful shuffle into the back line, being able to land that ult, knock up 2-3 members back into the rest of your team, and that's where you can start to clean things up in those extended trades. That's where you're going to win. So in that instance right there, fantastic job from them. They just collapse, find that angle. Aegis is nowhere to be seen, and DZG, once again, almost being caught with their pants down. It just seems like when they're trying to catch these sides, they're always late. Faceless is always willing to pull trigger. They group up, force fights, and right now, once again, we could see, hopefully we could see the rest of the members. There we go, from Faceless starting to move towards this dragon, but they have priority on this. They can get that set up right now. All they need to do is start pushing out this mid wave, and we'll see exactly what happens. Now they have options. They don't have to contest this dragon. I mean, sure, they want it, but they don't need it. And you can see them starting to posture towards this top side here. They have good vision control, and now DZG is really in between a rock and a hard place now. Do you want to contest this dragon? Make sure that they can't take it. You always got to be worried about that Baron too. So Faceless has plenty of options.
Like you said, they are threatening that Baron, right? But they've got full control. They pushed out that bottom wave a long time ago, kind of dotted their I's and crossed their T's. But everyone's pretty much blind on the Baron, so they're going for the dragon, or at least if nothing else for the turn. Iron Force support is a little low, but other than that, every single ultimate available. Hextech Portal goes out. Gopamine going for a big old flank here. Tilted Tower's got to be careful, but he is very, very thick with 3 C's and a Q. Just the 1 ward. I think they still don't spot Gopamine. Maybe no. I think he got spotted by that ward. They back off it. Gopamine not able to get his plan to fruition. So we're back into the mid lane. Let's see which way they want to go. Back to the dragon we go, Turk.
Yeah, that's right. The formation for DZG right now, it's kind of split up. We have Gopamine on the side. He can isolate a target. That's understandable. But you can see Zach covering towards the bot side, the 3 members towards mid. So it looks like a bit of a split call right now, and they need to make a decision very quickly.
Over the wall goes Silent Elements. Not be able to get the dragon, though, so that is Hextech's soul for the side of Faceless. Big Shurima shuffle gets 3 into trouble right into the path of regular guy on this Aatrox. He is a monster and just carves the rest of DZG up. Tilted Towers with the alley and regular guy with the oop. Slam dunk 5-0 Dragon Soul Baron Ace.
Oh no, and Faceless at this point. This is your game to lose. You clean this Baron up right now easily. Yep, that's a 5-0. And honestly, I really do believe it. It's off the back. Just there's no grouping from DZG at all. And whenever they want to contest one of these neutrals, you have a couple members bot, you have 3 members mid. You try to walk in, but you just need to be grouped up. You need to find those fights. And maybe you can have one person like Aegis or Gopamine like in behind looking for that flank. But you can't have everybody every which way. And Faceless, they just group up. They have their solid formation. They play front to back, clean up that fight, and they get that second dragon once again off the back of regular guy. If I'm not mistaken, that's now 2 dragons that he secured on that Aatrox. So the man has a smite in and of himself. So he's playing like a beast right now, and kudos to them. At this point right now, we saw them do a really good job in game 1 with their Baron setup. Saw 4 members getting swung towards that bot side, 1 member top. So we'll see how well they can get things set up here now for this game 2 here. But yeah, they're definitely in the driver's seat right now. 4Y.
10,000 gold lead. Things just went from bad to worse. It felt like that was such a critical, fight. And now, like you said, I mean, it's the exact same sort of momentum swing that Faceless had in game 1, right? They got Soul and Baron in one fell swoop, and all of a sudden you go, oh wait, no, this game might be over. As Paul forces the flash out of Zayden, has to hurry his way away from danger. D-Dude getting the range extended from that Milio. That is one thing that he does do. I think we didn't really talk about enough. The Caitlyn, right? You get that extra range from the Milio.
Yeah, absolutely you do, especially like later on in this stage of the game when you have a couple items on that Milio. That's where things really start to get scary, and I really do want to kind of hand it to Faceless here. These are this team right here is one of the better teams when it comes to like the Barons, like the power plays themselves here. We're gonna see regular guy take this all in on Aegis. Wisely so backing off, but yeah, Faceless has just done such a good job. This is actually what you see a lot in the LCK and LPL, and definitely in Worlds right now, where they just send 4 members top with that Baron, and you can see it's so much harder for the enemy team to be able to deal with this. And obviously, you can't be flanked. We're going to see an engage.
Oh baby, Tilted Towers. That is the strength of the tank Azir. When you go in for that all-in to reposition everybody, you just don't die. He gets hoovered into the death realm, but the worthy sacrifice is made here. Aegis. He's got to put up a legendary performance here. I think this might be GG here, Turk.
I'm thinking it's done and dusted there, mister. It looks like Faceless is just going to be able to close this game out here. And game 1, a little iffy here and there, but they pulled things back together with their good mid-game and late-game decisions. But, I mean, game 2, like just from night and day, like it seemed like right from the beginning, right to the end, they were controlling it. And the only real hiccup that they had, honestly, was in that bot lane. And you and I talked about we needed that bot lane to win, but if the rest of your team can end up coming clutch like what they did, and you really got to hand it, it's Paul once again. The ESUB being brought up to the big leagues, he did a fantastic job there. And yeah, you can look at this goal graph right now, and this is pretty indicative of the game state just really throughout. Around that 8 to 10 minute mark, you can see a little bit of that blue bip coming up, but the rest of the time it's nothing but red. So I mean, it makes sense. And kudos to them. Yeah, like we said, game 1, little iffy here and there, but they close things out really cleanly. And in game 2, it was theirs to lose right from the beginning. It felt like the Corki got ahead, but that was the only member. The rest of the team did a great job. And regular guy, once again, on that Aatrox, doing a fantastic work. Yeah, he did great. Second most damage, I suppose, on his team there. We do have that Caitlyn damage coming through, topping out at right on 20k. So overall, good, solid damage spread. That's kind of what you want to see from a lot of your teams, too. If you end up having a lot of damage just on one member, then of course that one member, if they get picked, the rest of your team is just not there. But when you can see this damage being spread out like this across all of the members, it's damn near impossible to be able to clean up team fights, because you pick one off, you still have 3 more to deal with. And yeah, man, I think they did great. So kudos to them. They definitely needed that, and they end up cleaning things up in a very respectable fashion.
Yeah, they move it to 3-1 with a pretty clean 2-0 here, right? Like we said, game 1 really wasn't everything they hoped it would be, but I think you learned a lot more from. I learned a lot more, I feel like, about Faceless with that comeback in game 1 than I would have if game 1 was like game 2. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, at the end of the day, you always got to buckle down. Like, there's going to be plenty of times where you're going to be behind. You're going to lose a lot of tempo. Just whether or not you can keep dialed in. And as long as you can stay in good spirits with the rest of your team. There will be windows to get back. You will be able to find angles. The enemy will make mistakes, just whether or not you can capitalize on it. And time again, we saw them do exactly that. Whenever they had those numbers advantages, they just pull trigger. They'd be very decisive, right? We saw game 1 with that Xin Zhao exceptionally well. right? Just pull trigger, find the angles, and if you can clean things up, that's exactly what you need to do. And DZG just seemed like they were a little split on some of their decisions. They weren't exactly in the best spots when they needed to be. Yeah. Obviously, especially in game 1, when you draft a Doctor and a Galio, you have all those globals. You want to be the one initiating those fights, but it just wasn't meant to be in game 1, and same could be said for game 2.
A very deserved move up to 3-1. Meanwhile, DZG drop it down to 1-3. Paul with a great E-sub performance here on the Xinjiao and then on the Udyr. Just monstrous. Really, really well done by him. And excited to see where they end up in the rest of the games here. I think it's going to do it for us here, Turk. Unless you have any final thoughts on this one. I think we're going to send the people home.
Just the usual. Thanks everybody for watching. Of course, we always love to be able to do this. So as casters, we want to bring the best effort that we can, and obviously the players, we know they're always going to deliver, and that's exactly what we expected. That's what we got. So thanks everybody for watching. Thanks 4Y. Thanks Caddy for being able to produce this. So yeah, it was awesome to be able to be here once again. Like this league's just kind of flying by. We're already to the 4th week. So
crazy.
As time just goes on, yeah, it's going to be more fun, and the stakes start to raise, and that's where things get really interesting for us. And we're definitely moving into that direction right now, closing out, moving into November. So things are moving fast for Y, and yeah, it's a pleasure to be able to be here for sure.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun to be along for the ride. So for everyone that Turk named, our producer Caddy, for him, for the players, for the viewers, thank you so much. I have been 4Y4. Happy Halloween. Stay safe out there. We'll see you back here next week. Same time, same place.
See you soon.